looks to me like Hill and Parsons were just having the ball racing each other.
I think they are, because, I mean, I've seen Bobby dive in and out from behind the field and try to get up alongside of him. You know, the cars are probably so good and sticking so well, they don't really realize just how close it looks from up here.
Ricky Craven's going to join us tomorrow. He's going to be down in the garage doing some reporting. He had his game face on for the last 3 days. No kidding, no fun with him. He is trying so hard to get back up on top of this point battle.
Well, he's a man on a mission, and
got a caution. And we're at halfway.
Yep.
Yellow flag indicating halfway. 100 laps is this aerial platform shot provided by the good folks at Advance Auto Parts. Brings us to halfway of PDQ Parts, delivering quick. And there they are, being tethered after the first half of the battle with Mark Martin in front, Nemechek in second. The fun was watching Derek Cope, Gillen, and Craven and Parsons just having a ball back there in that race for fourth spot with Dale Jarrett. So we're at halfway, and here's how it's going to go. Here's how they say that it's going to go, Derek. They're going to have 5 laps under caution. You can come in and do pretty much anything you want. A little gray about this sort of thing.
Yeah, they always are.
Change all the tires. Change some other stuff.
Yeah.
Some other stuff you can't change.
Well, what they say is anything that you can do under a normal pit stop. I don't know. Maybe they haven't realized just how effective these crews, how efficient these crews are today under a pit stop. We have been able to change a carburetor, track bar, the thing that holds the rear end housing up under the car, sway bars. There's so many things that these crews have learned to do. They've got the cars built to make quick changes. And I don't think NASCAR officials have realized just how much work can get done on one of these cars under a normal pit stop. So they get confused, or they get really, I don't know what happens to them down here. They kind of get the wool pulled over their eyes a little bit when a guy starts doing something in the car and he says, whoa, you can't do that. And then they go into that gray area.
Boy, I'm glad I'm up here and you're down there tomorrow, because if any of those NASCAR officials heard what you just said, you're in for a very long day tomorrow.
Oh, listen, they know. Gary's over there. That's the good thing about Gary Nelson. He's been there. So when you start talking about things like that, he just kind of shakes his head up and down and says, yeah, but it ain't that way no more, Bubba.
Mark Martin is your leader. We're at halfway in the All-Pro bumper-to-bumper 300 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. In second spot remains Joe Nemechek with McLaughlin in third. Then you've got Derek Cope fourth, Bobby Hill in fifth, Ricky Craven sixth, Phil Parsons seventh, Dale Jarrett's in eighth, Chad Little in ninth, and Terry Labonte in 10th, and some of those lead, in fact, all coming in now. 15 cars have already retired from the 45 event. As they come down pit road, you see 60 on the top. Martin and Nemechek, the second place car, and already in, and to a stop is the McLaughlin car.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see anybody trying to beat anybody out here. They've got a few minutes. I think they'll take their time, be sure they do it right, and they're going to talk to the driver, and they're going to decide what needs to be done. If anything, in Mark Martin's case, he's going to clean the window, knock the stuff off the grill, and leave.
And when they go back out, they'll assume the position they were in when they dropped that flag at halfway. So this is not a big deal about charging out there.
No,
give you a chance to see some of the pit work, though, by 3 outstanding Grand National teams.
Yeah, these guys that run at the front of this field, they're as good as anybody on Sunday. They just happen to like to race on Saturday. But these cars are pretty much the same, just a little bit different in the engine configuration. Next year, they'll be almost identical to Winston Cup cars.
Yeah, what will be the difference?
Well, they're going to be heavier, and our cars are maybe going to be lighter.
You're going to shed a couple 100 pounds?
I don't know if a couple of 100, maybe 100 off our cars, bring them up 100. What the concept is, and I think it's a good idea, they want to bring the Cup cars and the Busch cars closer together in specifications, so a guy can get out of a Saturday car, get in a Sunday car, get in a Winston Cup car, and not have to make that great big transition. They want the cars to be very close together so the talent that's in this Saturday race can step up to the Sunday race and not feel like they're at a disadvantage.
All right, got to take a moment right here. Let's go down to the pit center with Rick Benjamin.
Thanks, Ken. Time to check the weekend racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The weekend racing brought to you by Auto Wish. We're halfway through today's Busch Grand National 300-miler here on TBS. Wonderful to have you with us. I'm Rick Benjamin, and we are looking forward to a shootout in the second half of today's event as we check our Winn-Dixie mid-race report today. There have been 6 lead changes so far among 3 drivers. Mark Martin's been the dominant force. Our race average speed, a little over 131 miles an hour so far. 3 caution periods worth 18 laps. So far, 14 cars are officially out of the program here today. Here are some of the drivers who are not in the show at this point. Dale Earnhardt out very early. Todd Bodine and Ernie Irvin's car. Kenny Schrader, Stevie Reeves, Doug Hevron and David Bonnet involved in a big crash up at turn 3, as was Dirk Stevens and Tim Bender, who started it all. Harry Gant with an engine failure. Bobby Labonte, Ed Barrier, Rodney Combs, and Richard Petty's car, who whacked the wall a while back. Steve Grissom with a motor. He went out. Jason Keller is also out of the show at this point. To show you now who has been out in front so far, Joe Nemechek, who started outside the front row, led the first lap. Then Mark Martin. Nemechek took it back for about 23 laps. Martin again for 9. Elton Sawyer on top for 8 laps, and Mark Martin took over on lap 49. He has led so far to this halfway point. We are still under caution. The 5-lap caution period nearly ready to go green. Lots of activity on pit road. Randy Pemberton, what have you seen?
Wow, I'd like to see some of these changes made under a normal caution flag. Kenny Wallace, 2 rounds of wedge out, 4 tires, changed the right front shock, and knocked the spoiler out a little bit. The Staff America car, the 74 car, they just changed 4 tires. Not too much there. Bobby Dotter's been working on his car. They've got a problem in the left front. They can't figure that out. As far as David Green, who has been running 17th, they just moved the track bar a ½ inch, changed all 4 tires, and some air pressure changed in the rear tires of that car. And as far as Ricky Craven goes, looked like 4 tires, and that's about it. Dick Berger, what happened up that way?
Well, up here, Randy, it's a good thing we're near Halloween, because I'm going to tell you what, it was just plain bizarre, spooky. We're so used to watching these guys come in and trying 18-second pit stops to do their service. Here they had 5 laps to do it. So the crews were just sort of going around the car doing their work at Mark Martin's car. They put on 4 scuffed tires. They didn't change a thing. Steve Meal says the car is absolutely perfect. They're going to try to run it all the way to the end without doing any more changing. Joe Nemechek's car is just a little bit loose going into the corner. They didn't change any wedge in the car, but they changed the air pressure ever so slightly. And over at Ricky Craven's car, they spent most of their time worrying about the radiator. They are very aware of how many engines blow up here at Charlotte in this race. They want to finish this thing. They're running second in points, so they had a water hose on the radiator for much of their pit stop, and that's what they were more interested in than adjusting the car.
That's Joe Bessie getting ready to go back to work. He's riding in 20th position. We're getting set on a restart. The 5-lap caution period were non-counting laps. Those were technical non-counting laps. As they come down, the board will show 103 laps complete. A lap to get it down, and officially a lap to get it back up to speed. And Mark Martin from the point, breaking out in front, but trying to get around him. Michael Waltrip trying to take that lap back.
Well, I think Michael on that break had a chance to find out what that vibration was. If it wasn't a tire, maybe they fixed whatever it was. He may be able to run a little bit harder now. So we'll see what happens here.
Well, as he runs side by side with Nemechek, deployed in third, roosting on that rear bumper of number 60. Advantage for those others to collect the front of the field.
Yeah, we'll get bunched up here for a few laps. We'll have that exciting restart like we had at the beginning of the race, but I think guys will be a little bit more cautious. It's thinned out a little bit more than it was at the beginning.
Michael Waltrip around and back in the lead lap with Mark Martin in first. Down the backstretch, you see Derek Cope pulling along for second. Nemechek to third. Down on the bottom, the 99 car, Bobby Hillen, that black number 99, making its move to try to get back up and search for the lead.
The 59 car is off the pace down here coming off turn 4, but see what happens on those deals there. Mark put on scuffed tires, and it may take those tires a lap or two to get the heat built up in them. Michael may have put on brand new tires, and they're going to come in just right away. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Dennis Setzer back there in 19th spot. We still have 26 cars in the lead lap. Hood's up. Looks like it swallowed his cylinder.
Yeah,
he has been smoking
it's
some.
Smoking on pit lane here. So
pass for second. And there's Nemechek right back at it again.
You know, Ken, sometime when you got time to on the car to make changes to it, you do all the wrong things and really get the car off. Whereas if it was a normal pit stop, you couldn't do all that. So Nemechek's car looks quick. He's coming up there, and Mark looks like his tires are starting to build. They probably had low air pressure. They're coming back, and he'll chase Michael back down here in a second. Everything looks like it's staying about the same.
Well, you saw McLaughlin checking out there, and Hillen, Little, all getting around Derek Cope in the Allison car, number 82. He falls back a bit. Martin and Nemechek up in front, and Derek Cope sliding back.
Well, I know Michael would like to see a debris caution right now. That'd help him get back in the race, and obviously his car is quick enough to lead this thing.
Taking a look at lap leaders. pretty much dominated. Mark Martin's performance this year, just incredible. You know, he hasn't run all the races, what, only 14 of them, and yet he leads in the number of laps led. He's led to 909 laps in 13 races going into today in 94. Kenny Wallace is second. He's run all the races, and he's led only 784. Quite a statement about that car that Mark Martin's driving and leading with at the present time.
Yeah, he's had a great year in that car, and he will have a few more races before the year's over with to add on to that total.
Take a look at the running order now. Look at, as you look at this, as of 107, we're at 109. Benson has just slipped up a couple of spots into ninth. Johnny Benson at Staff America car, his backup car after he lost the car they had prepared for the race.
I tell you a guy that you got to keep your eye on, Ken. I know I say it time and time again, but Terry Labonte,
white number 14.
White number 14. Just keep him in mind, because before this day's over with, they will have to deal with him.
Here's Dick Berger.
Well, Dennis Setzer, whose wounded car was part of the open for this broadcast, is working on pit road, and it's more than just a valve cover. Unfortunately for him, they have lost a rocker arm. They've got the valve cover off. They're trying to change that rocker arm, get him fixed, get him back out. He's 5 laps down already, though, Ken.
And would be the 16th car to retire if they don't get it back on the track.
See, that's just from excessive RPM, valve train problems. That's from running the car wide open through the corner or thereabouts, and a lot of gear.
Resendez in the 79, running in 16th spot. Now back up front. The car that had been lapped, Michael Waltrip just in front of the leaders with Martin first, Nemechek right there in second spot, McLaughlin and Hillen.
I noticed on Michael's car, he's picked up some debris on his grill too, so he'll have to be watching the old temperature gauge.
And in the point battle, Craven now in 6th. David Green from Owensboro, Kentucky, back to 18th if the race were to end now. Craven would just about have that lead that Green has in the standing with 2 races left to go after today. October 16th, Martinsville, and October 22nd, Rockingham. Mark Martin, do you think some of the drivers are apprehensive about these higher speeds?
None of us are scared of going fast at all. You know, what I'm scared of is not having any control over that speed. When tires blow out, we have no control over that speed at all. And if we're going to have to deal with blowing out tires, then maybe, you know, maybe we are going too fast.
Well, that's what we were talking about. There's so many unknowns. Particularly if you just took the tires the way they were a couple of years ago when you resurface a racetrack, that is an ingredient that you don't like to deal with. And you add a tire war on top of that, and it puts the fear of God in these drivers, I'm telling you. Well, Michael, he kind of backed up. I think Mark's tires, they just had to build the air pressure on them a little bit, and he's on his way back to the lead again.
Going further back in the field as you watch the 44 car. That's the car of the point leader. That's Green, and right behind him is Bessie. That's well back. David Green is in 19th, and Joe Bessie is in 20th. It gave you that onboard shot.
It's such you would think having a big point lead would be the thing that you would want. It'd be the thing that you'd want to go in these last few races with. But it is so nerve-wracking to you don't want to beat yourself. And that's what these drivers fight out there on the racetrack. How hard do I push it? Do I go out here and race hard and take a chance on something happening? People are going to say I'm a dumb driver. They're going to say, why didn't you protect that point lead? So you really are in a dilemma the last few races of the year.
As we watch Bessie here working that Duraloo car, Darrell, give us some thoughts about getting control and using the line on these banks at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Well, you see the button on the steering wheel right there. See how far he has to turn that steering wheel? That's a long way to turn that steering wheel. That means that car is really tight. It's really abusing that right front tire. He's got that thing turned way around there at about, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, looks like, and he's really abusing that right front tire. He almost has to get another handful to make the turn. And that's not good for the tires.
So the battle continues, and we watch Tracy Leslie come on to pit road with 116 laps complete. Mark Martin continues to dominate the All-Pro Bumper to Bumper 300.